How old was I when I had my first kiss? That I actually intended to have.
Now, wait a minute.
And you were 14 years old, right?
Actually, I was 13 when this
13.
happened. Yeah, I was 13 and I went over
Did you feel like that took away from your childhood at all?
No, actually, I was living.
I mean, back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the Frosted Flakes. You know what I'm saying? Before pause was invented.
Puff and Usher did have a situation. And that situation led Usher to the hospital. Let Usher explain that to you. Let Usher mama explain that to you.
From the beginning, what we went through, and to see him on that stage and know that he did that, I had nothing to do with that at all.
Usher is finally opening up about the time he lived with Diddy at a young age, and in a recent interview with Keke Palmer, Usher's response to a question about his first kiss sparked a whole new wave of outrage, with fans saying this is definite proof something horrific happened to Usher during his time with Diddy. And don't forget that this comes just months after Diddy's former bodyguard, Gene Deal, claimed that Usher had to be hospitalized one time after Diddy did something to him at Puffy Flavor Camp. But now, things are getting even more disturbing, as sources close to Usher are saying that his mom, Jonetta, allegedly knew exactly what Diddy was doing to her son, but still allowed him to be around Diddy for the sake of his career. So what exactly did Usher reveal this time about his time at Puffy Camp? And does this mean Jonetta really sold her son to a monster just for fame and money? Let's break this down.
I was 13 years old, and being 13, having that type of exposure, it was cool to go to Howard Homecoming with Puff. It was great to be able to go to Club USA or the Supper Club with Puffy in that time, or the Tunnel. But these are places that a 13-year-old probably should not be.
Last week, Usher joined Keke Palmer on her podcast, and they talked about everything from their viral moment during his 2023 Las Vegas residency to his new Audible special. But there was one specific moment from their conversation that got the most attention. When Keke asked Usher just how old he was when he had his first kiss, his response left fans feeling uncomfortable because he hinted that his first kiss wasn't consensual. But before he could say more, Keke noticed Usher's discomfort and quickly shifted the conversation to something else.
This is the last one, for real.
Okay.
I've been playing around. I was trying to trick you just then. How old were you when you had your first kiss? And who was it? That's a sweet one we'll end on.
How old was I when I had my first kiss? That I actually intended to have.
Now, wait a minute.
There was a couple of,
Okay. Well, you know what? That one's stupid. It's out. Your favorite song ever that you've done. Your favorite song of yourself. And you can, if you want to pick one, your favorite one to sing.
This moment quickly went viral on social media, with fans calling Usher's response sad and telling. And of course, this brought the conversation back to Usher's relationship with Diddy and his time at Puffy Flavor Camp. And now the biggest question on everyone's mind is, where were Usher's parents? How could they let their young son live with a grown man who wasn't family with no supervision? Well, there have been rumors for years that Usher's mom, Jonetta, knew exactly what happened at Puffy Flavor Camp, but stayed quiet because Usher badly wanted a record deal, and Jonetta was determined to turn him into a star. To give you some context, the term Puffy Flavor Camp first came up when L.A. Reid talked about it in his 2016 autobiography, where he admitted it was his idea to send young Usher to live with Diddy in New York. And apparently, Usher's mom agreed to it. Reid wrote, "I sent Usher to New York for what I called the Puffy Flavor Camp. I wanted Usher to be edgier than LaFace was. I didn't want Usher to be pretty. Usher was 15 years old, but nothing about him ever seemed juvenile. I was turning him over to the wildest party guy in the country at an age when I still needed to get his mother's permission, but he went to New York for almost a year. I didn't know whether I was being irresponsible or having an epiphany." Now, Reid claimed Usher was 15 when he sent him to live with Diddy. However, Usher later hinted in interviews he was even younger than that. But let's break down how Usher even got caught up in this. So Usher has been in the industry since he was super young, and by the time he was just 10 years old, he was already part of an R&B group called New Beginnings. However, shortly after they dropped their debut album, Usher's mom, Jonetta, pulled him out of the group. Now, she never gave a public explanation, but insiders claim she told people close to her that Usher had a bad experience. Now, this is where things start to get really disturbing. So Usher was only 10 when he joined New Beginnings, And remember that Diddy made that creepy comment that he and Usher used to wake up together and wrestle when Usher was 10.
I mean, back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the Frosted Flakes. You know what I'm saying? Before pause was invented. You know what I'm saying? But it's my brother for real. We used to actually wrestle off of the Frosted Flakes because he used to always get up early with me. Now he's one of the richest stars in the world. And I love him.
What the did Puff just say? Nobody's gonna acknowledge this with me. Puff just said we used to wrestle over the Frosted Flakes, and we're streaming live. That was stupid. Listen, that was stupid.
So after Usher's mom, Jonetta, pulled him out of New Beginnings, saying he had a bad experience, she started looking for new ways to get him noticed. That's when Usher started doing local talent shows, and around age 13, he crossed paths with AJ Alexander, a former bodyguard for Bobby Brown. They met at a talent show in Atlanta, and Alexander immediately saw Usher's potential. He decided to mentor him and pulled some strings to get someone from L.A. Reid's label to check out Usher's performance on Star Search. Once the label rep saw him in action, they arranged a meeting with L.A. Reid, and Reid was so impressed that he signed Usher right on the spot.
He got down on one knee and he sang Boyz II Men's End of the Road. He really charmed the girls in my office.
Couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe this little kid.
So when Reid first signed Usher, everything seemed to be going smoothly for his debut album. But then puberty hit and Usher's voice started changing. Reid was getting increasingly frustrated, and he even thought about dropping Usher from the label. However, Usher begged for another chance. So instead of cutting him loose, Reid made a decision to send Usher to New York to live with Diddy at Puffy Flavor Camp. And keep in mind that by that point, Diddy already had a reputation for throwing wild parties at his mansion.
Your parties are the hottest ticket around.
They won't even give me a permit for the parties, man. They don't want me to throw the parties no more. But we ain't gonna stop. We gonna keep on having fun, bringing people together from all walks of life. You're gonna hear about my parties. They're gonna be shutting them down. They're gonna probably be arresting me, doing all types of crazy things just because we wanna have a good time. You know, whenever you bring up a different element into people's environment, things that broaden people's horizon, people get intimidated. There's a lot of people out there that feel intimidated by it. It ain't nothing but breaking down racial barriers, breaking down generation barriers. People from all walks of life. Ron Perlman talking to Jay-Z, Jay-Z talking to, you know what I'm saying? It just goes on and on. You know, it's just like people from all walks of life connecting and getting together. Yeah.
Your parties are the hottest ticket in town. People dying to get into your party. How does that make you feel?
I mean, it's cool. You know, it doesn't make me feel any way special. It doesn't make me feel like a bigger person. It just makes me feel like I know how to throw a party.
So the fact that L.A. Reid thought it was okay to send a kid that young into that kind of environment is wild. Unless, of course, he knew exactly what he was doing. And I know what you're thinking. What was Usher's mom thinking letting her teenage son move to New York and live with a grown man at a place called Puffy Flavor Camp? So we know that Usher's dad wasn't around. He left when Usher was just a baby. So Usher was raised by Jonetta, along with his stepdad and half-brother. We also know that Usher was only 13 or 14 when L.A. Reid sent him to Puffy Flavor Camp, which means Reid had to get permission from his legal guardian to make it happen.
My mother has been there to help me understand what it is to face adversity, but yet still come out on the other side optimistic because family matters more than anything. My mother has contributed everything to who I am and what I am as a person, as a human being. A single woman in a male-dominant industry who believes in something that no one else believes, and that is that her son is special and has a special gift from God.
Now, there's nothing wrong with Jonetta supporting her son's dreams, but letting him go live alone with Diddy at just 13 or 14? What was going through Jonetta's mind when she signed off on this? So Usher later claimed in interviews that his mom had no idea where L.A. Reid was actually sending him. But this doesn't really make sense because Reid had to get permission from Jonetta to fly with Usher. Plus, fans are convinced that Jonetta may have already hinted that something dark went down at Puffy Flavor Camp, even if she never spoke on it directly. So back in 2017, when legal documents leaked claiming Usher had been living with an STD since 2009 and allegedly infected a partner in 2012, Jonetta posted a cryptic message on social media saying, "If I were in charge, this Usher drama would never have gone down. Too much positive work went into making this mega star. I can't stand by and watch this. I apologize to each and every one of you. too much for me. Jonetta later shared another since-deleted post saying, "Fame comes with a big ticket. Can you withstand the cost? I really want to know." And then another reason fans believe Jonetta was hinting at Usher's experiences at Puffy Camp is this blind item that recently started making the rounds, claiming that Diddy's late ex, Kim Porter, was working on a tell-all book where she allegedly planned to expose that Diddy was the one who gave Usher an STD.
Also, some of the things in the book cover Diddy's gay relationships, footage of those encounters, the men he slept with, STDs, Diddy giving Usher an STD, and the explosive encounter between Diddy and Usher's mom, Mary J. Blige being pregnant by Diddy, and of course, she had an AB, the beatings Kim took, pushing him down the steps in 2007, and him breaking his foot.
Meanwhile, fans also started questioning Usher's role in the whole situation involving Diddy and Usher's former protege, Justin Bieber. Just like Usher, Justin was raised by his single mom, Patty Millette, while his dad, Jeremy, wasn't involved until Justin started making money. Patty had Justin when she was just 18, and she struggled to support them. So when those YouTube videos Patty was posting of Justin performing at local shows caught the attention of talent agent Scooter Braun, Patty thought this was Justin's one chance at a better life. So when Justin was just 13, Patty allowed him to go to Atlanta with Scooter to record some demos. And just a week later, Justin was already performing for Usher. But then things took a dark turn, and the following year, Usher sent Justin to spend 48 hours with Diddy. And while Puffy Flavor Camp was officially no longer a thing, it felt like history was repeating itself.
So check this out, yo. Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like, you know, where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream.
So now people are questioning why Usher allowed young Justin to spend time with Diddy after all the trauma he allegedly went through at Puffy Flavor Camp. What's also bizarre is that in that 48-hour video with Justin, Diddy mentioned that he had legal guardianship of Usher back in the day.
You know, I have been given custody of him. You know, he signed to Usher.
I'm signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when you know he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So yeah, and we gonna go full crazy.
We're going
Crazy.
So if this is true, it would mean that Usher's mom, Jonetta, knew exactly where L.A. Reid was sending her son and still agreed to let Diddy have control over him. And by the way, that 48-hour video wasn't the only time Diddy and Justin's weird interactions were caught on camera. In 2010, just a year after Justin spent 2 days living with Diddy, Diddy showed up at the studio where Justin was recording and started questioning him about why they stopped hanging out. By this time, Justin didn't just seem uncomfortable around Diddy, he looked genuinely scared.
What's up, man? You good?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, young brother, everything's good?
Everything's
Selling
great.
out arenas and everything? Starting to act different, huh?
No,
You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, I mean, you tried to get in contact with me, you know, through all my, partners and whatnot. But you never really got my number, so.
Right, okay.
My number?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you my number.
Yeah.
And now check out this clip of Diddy doing something very similar to Usher on a talk show. You can really see how much Diddy enjoyed making these young men feel uncomfortable. It happened at Puffy Flavor Camp. He's always been very vague about it. He first opened up about it in a 2004 interview with Rolling Stone, where he said that moving to New York by himself at such a young age was one of the hardest things he's ever been through. Usher also admitted that Diddy didn't hold back when it came to showing him the wild adult lifestyle and exposed him to things a young person shouldn't have to see at that age. You'd open a door and see somebody doing it, or several people in a room having an orgy, Usher told Rolling Stone. You never knew what was going to happen. Now fast forward to 2016 when Usher appeared on The Howard Stern Show, and when Howard brought up Puffy Camp, Usher's response made it clear that he went through things no young person should ever experience. And while he didn't reveal any specific details, it seemed like he was still trying to process everything that happened.
Does he have you doing any chores? Are you doing dishes at all? I mean, to keep you humble somewhat? Or are you just like, can you stay up till 4 in the morning with them and party?
I mean, I could. I actually stayed up longer than them.
And do you have money? What's going on?
I mean, I had like per diem.
Yeah.
I had like,
what
like
a
living.
life.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
But the most most telling moment from this interview was when Howard Stern asked Usher if he would ever send his own kids to Puffy Flavor Camp. And Usher didn't hesitate for a second, saying, hell no.
You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy Camp?
Hell no.
See?
But it gets even darker. Diddy's former bodyguard, Gene Deal, recently shared on The Art of Dialogue that he saw Usher being rushed to the hospital after something happened with Diddy at Puffy Flavor Camp. And Gene even called out Usher's mom, Jonetta, hinting that she knows exactly what happened to her son when he was living with Diddy.
The Usher part, that's a touchy situation, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I had a certain feeling and I felt a certain way when Usher got on Shay Shay, and I don't mean to mention other people's platforms, but he got on Shay Shay and he mentioned how great and how good Puff taught him and everything. You know what I'm saying? About the business, right? I know, and people know, that was around that in that time that Puff and Usher did have a situation. And that situation led Usher to the hospital. Now I let Usher explain that to y'all. I let Usher tell that story. But how dare you say a man that you gonna give him a pass? Bruh, you know I know. Because you taking up for somebody that you know and a lot of more people know didn't do you right when you was at Diddy camp. And he said, yo, would you send your son to Diddy camp? And Usher said, no. Ask him why he won't send him to Diddy camp. But yet and still you praise him.
Damn, man, and you said that, I know you can't go into detail, but you said that it was a situation where Diddy sent him to the hospital?
Let Usher explain that to you. Let Usher mama explain that to you. And the hospital was in Scarsdale, New York.
So now that Diddy's officially facing charges and more disturbing accusations are coming out, fans are putting pressure on Usher's mom, Jonetta, and also Justin Bieber's mom, Patty, saying they should be held responsible for allegedly letting Diddy take advantage of their young sons. But what do you think about Usher's reaction to the first kiss question in his interview with Keke Palmer? Do you think he was hinting at something that happened at Puffy Camp? And as for Usher's mom, do you think she's keeping quiet about the truth of what her son went through? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't miss out on this next video.